Yeah. Oh wait. There we go.
Testing. Hi. Welcome back to another episode of Jordan Snow Tiny Room Concerts.
Woo!
I didn't ask you. You're not gonna be doing a song, are you?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Oh. I
wasn't
usually
prepared.
have people do a song.
Actually, if
I
you
forgot to mention that.
if you want, I will sing you a little bit of a song that I sing to my dog. It's called The Cute Police.
The Cute Police.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that now, or do you want
Sure.
to save it for later?
Do you want to hear it now?
Sure.
Okay. It goes. I'm gonna have to call the cute police. Tell them all about your felonies. 'Cause you're a nugget and a lime of green. I'm gonna have to call the cute police. Cute police. That would be like backup vocals.
Dang.
Yeah.
Got backup vocals and everything.
Mm-hmm. The nugget is my roommate's dog. Lima Bean is my dog. Because her dog looks like a literal nugget, like the color of a chicken nugget.
What?
And my dog is like this small, the size of a Lima Bean.
That's impossible. I don't believe you.
He's really tiny. I can fit him in my pocket.
You can fit your dog in your pocket?
No.
What?
He's just so tiny.
Okay.
No, he's this big.
That big?
Yeah, he's a chihuahua.
A chihuahua. Okay, okay.
He's got some long legs though.
Like skinny?
Yeah, like he's 83% chihuahua and then the rest is terrier. Which I feel like is such a bullshit cop out. Like what even is terrier? That's so general. I feel like
I don't know if I know what terrier.
Yeah, there's so many different types of terrier. I feel like
I've heard of Boston Terrier.
Yeah, they couldn't tell me which kind. The DNA place it was just like, just terrier.
It's a dog.
Yeah.
Doge.
10%, sewer rat. Yeah. That's
And what kind of dog is the nugget dog?
The nugget dog. I'm gonna start calling her the nugget dog. Oh my gosh, Lindsay's gonna kick me for this because I can't remember. I know she has like a tiny bit of pit bull, and then the rest is like some kind of cattle dog. But she's like, if you imagine the color of a chicken nugget, that's the color she is. Her name is Maggie.
Oh, I thought her name was actually Nugget.
It is. Now.
But also Maggie.
Yeah. Hank has many names as well. Boob, Pouble, Mooby.
Michael Bublé.
Yeah. That's so funny you say that because that's where it stemmed from.
Really?
Yeah, I used to call him Michael Bublé. I'm actually dead serious.
That's so funny.
It was like when that meme
Wait, are
came
you
out.
as serious as you were about fitting him in your pocket?
More serious. No, it was when that meme came out about Michael Bublé. Something about him like defrosting right around the time the Mariah Carey one came out. Michael Bublé defrosting for the Christmas season. I fixate on like memes and funny things, and I called him Michael Bublé for a long time, and then it got shortened down to Bublé.
Did I mishear you, or were you saying Pouple?
That's another variation of it. They're just kind of noises. Michael Bublé, Bublé, Pouple, Booble.
Baby talk.
Yeah. Guy, my guy. Yeah.
Anything.
Pretty much anything.
Do you have a carpet?
Yeah.
Does your dog ever like claw at your carpet?
No.
My friends brought their dog over here, and usually their dog is so cool. Their dog's name is Senpai.
Okay.
And like at their house, he's super dope. And then they bring him over here, and the first thing he does, and mind you, I just got this apartment, like hadn't set up anything.
Yeah.
Like barely just got the key like that day or the day before.
Okay.
He just goes out to the balcony, takes a shit, and then comes in and starts clawing at the carpet. And I was like, nope.
Oh, wow.
Nope. That's not cool.
Yeah, they love to do that in these spaces. They love to just like lose their minds and pretend like they don't know the rules. My dog likes to do that too.
Really?
He doesn't claw at carpet, but he will just be very naughty.
It's like we are in the great outdoors.
Yeah, he takes it as like a free for all. Yeah, and then he loses privileges. Like a child, like a literal child. He is.
I think children do that too, maybe. I think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's up with these pants?
What do you want to know?
Did you thrift them? Did you buy them new?
I
What's the
bought
story?
them new. I'm pretty sure they're from like Shein
Mm.
or something, which is like, you know what Shein is.
It's an online store, right?
Yeah, but it's like the epitome of fast fashion.
Mm.
Like I could probably get canceled for even admitting that I bought these from Shein. But you know, when you're a musician and you're a broke musician and you need performance clothing, like this was a potential option for performance clothing, but they didn't. It never looks like the picture, you know.
Mm.
So.
I feel it. It looks very what's the word?
70s.
70s. But also the material itself.
It's like
I
a
saw
soft
this
coral.
thing and it was talking about like there's a manufacturing product or process with fabric where it's like literally if you were to take a nail file to the fabric to like fluff it up.
Oh.
And that's how they make it like fuzzy like that.
Oh, interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah. I forget the word. I saw it.
Distressing?
No.
I think it's more for denim actually, like when you distress denim with sandpaper.
I saw it on have you ever heard of Blogilates or like
I don't know. Blogilates.
it's like this
Blog for
lady
Pilates?
who no well yeah it's this lady who makes her own like workout clothes
Oh, that's cool.
online. Yeah.
I love that. Honestly, like, I might have to have you send me her link later, cause like, all the workout clothes that are made by like old white dudes, like they don't understand how things fit women's bodies.
And that's exactly what she does. She like reconstructs it to like fit right and not like
Not suck the
have
titties up to the
anything
chest.
like yeah too loose or too whatever.
She's doing the Lord's work, really.
I will send you it later.
Thank you.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
So you want to talk studio stuff?
Sure, yeah.
What's going on? What's your favorite part? What's your icks?
My favorite
Your studio icks.
studio icks.
Yeah.
Well, so there's like the musical production side of the studio and there's the PR side of the studio.
Mm.
I would say like a musical production ick is just, you know, sometimes people will come in to kind of tour the studio to consider recording there. And I think that a recording studio for some people that haven't been in that environment a lot can be kind of intimidating.
Mm.
And so they will sometimes overcompensate and start like explaining your job to you, or they will like say things almost like they're like testing you. You know, what kind of gear do you got? You got the da 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 da. That oh, you know, Lucky Run has that, or like, you know, whatever. Wire Road has the da 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 interface, or you got this mic, you got the Slate mic. Like, for some reason, that's the mic that always comes up, and I'm like, we love the Slate, but no, we don't have it because we already spent, you know, thousands of dollars on these microphones before that technology was created.
Mm.
So like, why buy it now? You know, like, or yeah, that would be my biggest like musical production pet peeve, I guess. Just the poking and prodding of like almost testing the engineer or producer or studio to see, like, if we know our shit, basically. Am I allowed to cuss? I can cuss, right?
I don't care.
Okay. And then on the PR side, it's hard to call them icks because I would be a hypocrite to call them icks because like I understand where it comes from, and like I've even done a little bit of the same thing. I mean, I wasn't knowledgeable enough back in the day to start quizzing people on gear, but like, you know, you definitely come in and you want to make sure you're not. It's kind of like going to a car mechanic when you haven't been in that environment enough. You just want to make sure you're not getting, you know, taken advantage of. And unfortunately, in the music industry, a lot of people do take advantage of you. But on the PR side, I would say it's when people like expect for you to do a lot of work for them for a very little amount of money.
Mm.
That would be, I think, my biggest annoyance. And part of it is because they don't understand all of what goes into it and just how many hours go into it. But like, you know, for example, we do social media management and stuff like that. And it's like, well, we're basically like running your career online.
Mm.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money. Sorry, like I don't know, you know, and we're very good about working within people's budgets. So if you tell us a budget, like we can definitely fit within that. So it's not really those people I'm talking about. It's more the people that are like, I don't really have an exact budget, and they kind of tell us up front, like I'm willing to spend whatever it takes to do this thing with y'all. But then they're really not, and they like question the prices and stuff, which isn't that much of an annoyance because I get it. A lot of it is again, it's like, you know, experience and education. If you don't know what is going on in that world, then I don't mind like breaking it down for somebody. But it is a thing that every once in a while gets on my nerves if I have to do it repeatedly with the same person, because it starts to make me feel like they're not, like they want me to undervalue myself or they're devaluing my work. And so it like hurts my feelings a little bit. I'm like, well, if you don't, you know, think it's worth that, then like I understand. I respect it. I don't want to say I respect it, but I understand. Like,
I think a common misconception with studios is like there's this like pipe dream idea of, oh, you get signed by a studio and then they pay for everything and they pay you to live.
yeah,
Like they
that's a
pay for
label.
all your expenses and da 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 da.
Yeah, you're right, and that's like the biggest part of it is there's just so much in the music industry that if you haven't been in that world for quite some time, it's hard to even know what's what and separate things. Like that pipe dream is real, but those are labels. That's not what a recording studio does for you. And traditionally, like anytime someone's performing a service for you, you need to pay them, or you know, I'm sure you can find people that will do either trades of services with you, or you can work out some kind of like royalty thing. You just need to do what helps them feel compensated for their time. But a label would pay for all that. And so I think that's why people think, like they're kind of equating recording studios with labels, and it's like, no, even when you have a label, you think that Britney Spears' engineer and producer isn't getting paid? No, he's getting paid by the label. Like, you know, it's what people really want are labels, and but I will say, I feel incredibly lucky to be an artist in this time period that we're in, because I feel like the power is really back in the hands of the artists. We don't really need labels anymore. No longer do you have to kind of focus on that dream of like putting yourself out there enough so that you can get discovered, because that's putting the power in somebody else's hands. Nowadays, with advertising being available to everyone, and just how much reach, even organic reach, there is on social media, and how much we are more connected online, people are able to create those careers for themselves, and that's what I've done. And one of the coolest parts about it, in my opinion, is that I don't have a label I have to answer to, and I get to share my success with the people that have been on my team for years. Like, when I'm successful, they're successful. When I make money, they make money. Like, I don't have to answer to a label. I don't, the only thing I think a label could provide for me right now that I can't provide myself are two things. Like a massive budget, of course that would be nice, and some of the connections that label has probably spent decades building, that you could almost equate to like nepotism. It's the who you know type of thing. But I'm not trying to be Lady Gaga. I just want to build my career up to a point that I can take care of my team, I can take care of my family, and not have to work like 24/7. Be able to actually hire somebody and delegate things, and that's it. Like that's where I'll be like, I've peaked, dude. I don't need to be Lady Gaga. I love her, And I would never say no to that if it was an option, but like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Lady Gaga, obviously big inspiration then?
No, she's not. It's just, it's one of the artists I get compared to the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her and Gwen Stefani, man. It's the white hair. People can't see past it. I don't think I sound anything like Lady Gaga. In fact, I think Lady Gaga would be offended if she heard somebody compare me to her. But
I don't know about all that.
if I were her, I'd be offended. I think Gwen would equally be as offended. No, my biggest influences are, oh my god, so many, but the top.
I know you've been going on about Hiatus Coyote.
Yeah. Halsey and Hiatus Coyote, man. Those are my those are my two big ones. Halsey and Hiatus Coyote. And they're equal amounts of incredible to me, but for totally different reasons. Like, Halsey is this, she's so much more than a musician. You know what I mean? Like, obviously she's a musician and she's a damn good one, but she's so much more than that. She's a visionary, she's a poet, she's a philanthropist, she's an activist. Like, I have always loved Halsey for her music, but when I started diving into her as a person, I just fell even deeper into being so inspired by her and really just digging her and what she's done, what she's doing, what she stands for. And one of my favorite parts of her artistry is her lyrics and her performances. Nobody has live show energy like Halsey, dude. Like, it's unmatched. It's unmatched.
You've seen her live?
Twice now.
Oh, nice.
The first time was on my birthday, actually. It was a birthday present. We made eye contact, so we are in love.
There you go.
Wedding date is pending.
How do you do the heart with your hands?
The heart?
There's like 3 different ways that people do a heart with their hands. I'm not gonna tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the millennial vibe.
Yeah.
You know, they got the like Gen Z thing.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't.
That's like the Gen Z heart.
But I feel like, don't your like other fingers get in the way? Wait, which ones are your? Oh, the pointer finger is the top?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
You've never seen that?
I don't know that my hands can do that.
You can do it.
I know. Yeah.
You just make little like dinosaur claws, like.
I love Halsey and Napalm. Yeah. From Hiatus Coyote, the singer. Yeah, and so, like, while, you know, Halsey is, the way I've put it before is I feel like you watch Halsey or you watch Hiatus Coyote. Either way, you're basically watching Olympic athletes in their own respect. But for different reasons. Like, Halsey is, I mean, she is running around, she puts so much into the experience of her live performance. I mean, the visual components, the wardrobe, how quickly she's changing between, you know, numbers, even if it's not an outfit, just changing like a vibe or changing the part of the stage she's on. I even heard her mention in interviews that she has her team put a litter box out so that if she needs to pee in between like song changes or outfit changes, she can just and like, that is so feral and wonderful to me.
Feral is a good word.
I love her for that. That was actually one of the interviews that made me be like, that's the kind of effort I want to put into my artistry. But then you go to a Hiatus Coyote concert, Napalm's not running around stage. The musicians like don't really move that much. But it's because where their Olympic athleteness comes in is in their technicality, their sophistication. And you can see it, there's a song by them called By Fire that when I want to watch musicians, good, like seasoned musicians just flex nuts, I look up them performing that song live, By Fire, because it's got key changes, time changes. Actually, maybe it doesn't have a key change. It does at the very end, I think. There's just so much going on in it, and you know, what they do is, I wouldn't want to say rooted in jazz. It's jazz, but it's not like your traditional jazz. And it's almost like watching the band run a marathon together. When they get to this part of the song, it's like very technically challenging, and the eye contact, like just the feeling of knowing, like these guys have been working together for a long time, and you have to have that kind of familiarity to be as tight of a band as Hiatus Coyote is. and they're making this eye contact throughout this really sophisticated, complex part of the song. And once they get to the end of it, there's almost like this like pleasant relief. And it's not very much, because for musicians like that, they're not really that worried about it, they can do it. But it's this like, we just did this thing together. Wow, you know? And it's like, it's incredible to me. So like, those two things I try to marry in my brand, because I'm not a sophisticated artist. Like, I don't have a background in jazz. That's not anything that's really in my world. That side of my music comes from my collaboration with John Edward. Well, I do love jazz. I don't have any education in it outside of what I've learned with him.
You were in like a punk band before, right?
Yeah, I was in an alt rock band
Okay.
called Westfield. And before that, I was in like a garage rock band called Bodhi.
Booty?
Bodhi.
Bodhi?
B-O-D-H-I. Like a Bodhi tree.
Mm.
I know, super like 2010 of me. And then somewhere in the middle of that, I was in a band called Saints of Marfa. I'm not even going to attempt to like describe the genre. You just have to look them up on Spotify. It was wonderful, but and that's why I won't describe the genre, because I feel like I would be doing it injustice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's my musical history.
And some of your songs that you're working on now have like pulled from some of those projects?
Not at all, actually. Well, outside of stylistically, no. But two of the songs that are on my first EP, The Wrong Ones, did come from previous projects. So I Don't Mind came from the Bodhi project. The Bodhi version of it is actually still up on SoundCloud. If you search Bodhi, I Don't Mind.
Okay.
It's not easy to find. I have a hard time finding it. I had to document the link one time after I found it so that I could find it again. If you're interested, just DM me and I'll send it to you. And then Breathing Underwater came from the Saints of Marfa project. That one is much easier to find. You can find it on Spotify under Saints of Marfa. I go to the Saints of Marfa Spotify profile and I listen to it every now and again because it's such a different version of it. It's much more like dark and driving, or droning rather, and it's so interesting to me the turn we took with it when John Edward and I reimagined it, because it's got this very like light, airy, lo-fi, hopeful vibe to it.
That's what I get from it. Like,
yeah.
Very, very like, you know, lo-fi girl, chilled cow kind of
yeah, for sure.
vibe.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we were going for in the sound of the track. But when you break down the lyrics, I mean, they're probably some of the darkest lyrics I've ever written. And so it gives me Pumped Up Kicks vibes, you know?
Okay.
Like, very happy music, very dark lyrics. I thought it was a nice juxtaposition, though, and it actually brings me to a nice middle ground of peace with what the song is about and how dark and heavy it used to feel to perform it when we were performing the previous version of it, because in the Raycheal Winters solo project we did perform exactly the Saints of Marfa version of it for a long time until this newer version was manifested.
That's cool. When I listen to the new version, I get like the feeling that I get, it's hard to describe, but it's like almost like I'm just like drifting into this like I don't know. It's weird. It's like this weird drifty, like just kind of like separated, dissonant, like kind of feel where I'm like almost.
I kind of wanted it to sound like the underwater level in Mario, a little bit.
Okay.
Does it make you feel like you're floating a little bit?
A little bit. Just like I don't know. It's like I don't know. Like I used to smoke weed. I don't anymore. But when I would get high, there was this definite like feeling of separation.
Yeah.
And it's like not as intense as that, but like on like a lower level.
I think I'm hearing that my music gets you high. Oh my god, thank you so much. I'm just kidding.
Maybe a little bit.
I'm just kidding. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it makes me very content when I hear how much people have resonated with a song, even if it's just the track or like the feeling it gives them. Because I'm kind of the same way with how I consume music. Like, there'll be songs that I've been listening to for years. I couldn't tell you what any of the lyrics are, but I'm like, but it makes me feel this,
It's
you
the
know?
vibe,
And I know that when I want to feel this, I can go to this song.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of a funny experience, like when you do revisit some of those, like your go-to songs that you've been listening to for years to get, you know, whatever particular vibe, and you're like I don't know about you, but I get to a certain point where I'm so familiar with a song that like I kind of start, like I'll skip it more often, and it doesn't necessarily be, it's not one of my go-tos anymore. And that's when I try to find different elements of it. That's when I'll actually like look up the lyrics, like break down the lyrics, and then it just gives it this whole new life and meaning, and then I'm obsessed with it again, and then I play it over and over again until I hate it again. And I'm just kidding.
And then you eventually stop listening to it for a long time and then go back to it and you're like, wait, that's what they're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I don't know how you are with compliments, because I like want to compliment you on just like certain things, but I feel like you might be the type of person who's just like, no, stop.
No, go for it. I mean, I to have a hard time accepting compliments, but I feel free to. I'm working on it, so maybe you can help me work on it.
Okay. Well, what I do appreciate about you is I appreciate, like, one, there are different levels. There's like, I appreciate the way that you connect with your fan base. I appreciate the way, like, how versatile your stuff is. Like, even though you only have like 4 or 5 songs out, they're all like so different, such different vibes.
Yeah.
You know, because like you have, like, we were talking about Breathing Underwater, and it's like very vibey, like we were saying, but then you have like, you know, your like fun side where it's just like you just want to jump around, and like, you know, like I guess more like the Halsey type vibes that you were talking about.
Definitely.
And it's like I'm having trouble placing like names of songs right now.
Lethal Dose is the one that's super dark.
Tired.
Yeah.
Lethal Dose is really dark.
But I do jump around a lot on stage with it.
That one,
yeah.
And then you go from like those vibes to like what's the one?
Wailing and I Don't Mind. Oh, While I'm Alive, yeah.
Yeah, While I'm Alive, yeah.
Or I'm like literally talking about the fact that I thought I would be dead by now.
And it's like, you know, it comes in so hot with that just like jumpy like.
Yeah. That version of Raycheal she was so sad. Like baby artist Raycheal was so sad. And it's rich saying that because that song came out last year, but she was just so sad. She needed to get it all out. This next EP is like much happier, but I appreciate you saying that. Like the connecting with my audience, it's something that's always been incredibly important to me, because I don't want to just create music and like put it out into a void. The reason I create is to connect. It's a big part of my brand, and I try to implement it more and more every year. That the big picture idea is like, there's so much that people can sometimes be afraid to, or maybe embarrassed to talk about. But man, I'm an extrovert. I can start a conversation with anyone. And out of all my years of being on this earth and just talking to different people, I'm like, oh, we're all out here on Struggle Bus City. You know what I mean? Like, we're all like, this thing that I have gone through that I thought was so unique to me, which made me feel worse about it because it made me feel like something was wrong with me, is actually in no way unique to me. And so many other people have felt this way, have gone through this, and that revelation was so crucial in like my mental health and healing journey, that now I feel like I've cracked this code, and I'm like, guys, no, come here, it's all of us, let's talk about it. You're not weird, you're not fucked up, everyone's actually like fine, come here, let's talk about it. Like, you know, I'm like, let's just, like, come on, I I really, like, I do this motion because I really just want to, like, hug everyone because I'm like, I know how I felt, and, like, you know, I have had some really terrible parts of my life and my childhood and stuff, but, like, nothing compared to what some people have been through, and so I'm like, if that's how I feel, oh my god, get in here, like,
And then you
just
meet
hug
people who are like literally in wheelchairs and can't walk and are just the most grateful people you've ever met. And it's like, man, if that guy can be grateful.
Yeah.
Like, I literally know a dude, he's in a wheelchair and he like has chronic seizures and he'll just, his whole body will just lock up.
Oh.
And then he'll come out of it and just be so grateful that he regained control of his body.
I mean, it's a
Just the smallest thing of like, he literally just has control of his arms again and his upper body. And he's like, oh God, thank God that's over.
Yeah, it's all about perspective. It's like, and truly as humans, like, we can choose to create anguish for ourselves no matter what level of life we're at, or we can choose to create celebrations for ourselves. And like, that's a perfect example of it, you know, like I've definitely been, and I used to be embarrassed to admit this, but I'm not now. I've definitely been at parts of my life before where I was like incredibly lucky, incredibly privileged, and I was still like in such a dark place. Now, part of that is just, I mean, like, imbalance of chemicals in the brain. Well, like, no, this was more into like my early 20s, but like part of it is just like having a chemical imbalance in the brain. So I'm not like invalidating the fact that I do have like real mental health issues going on, but it does reach a certain point where you got to put it in perspective. And I finally did it at one point, and I was like, I know I don't have much, but like what I have, some people would fucking kill for, dude. Like, and just looking at it from that lens, you know, so it's like, in that instance, while your friend is celebrating his success of regaining control of his arms, I'm over here like so depressed because I didn't like get to book the show I wanted to book. Like, how lame, Rachel, you know what I mean? And I really tried to like put that in perspective, and just put my life in perspective in that way, and not to invalidate myself, because I've already done the work of like, you know, I validate myself and my feelings are real and I'm allowed to feel them. But what I'm not allowed to do is dwell on them, throw a pity party, and play victim. I'm not allowed to do those things, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just really about perspective. Like, I'm sure Beyonce could list 20 things that make her like incredibly sad right now, you know? But people would kill to be her, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Something to be said about terminal uniqueness. Like you're saying, like, I'm not unique. These problems aren't unique. We all have them, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, the only thing unique about it is that they're uniquely human.
Exactly. And that's why I, you know, for a long time when I was kind of coming into myself as an artist, it made me really nervous to be as vulnerable as I am in my music. And we try to make up for that a little bit in like how the tracks sound, and like not just making the tracks sound like so dark, because most of the lyrics are really dark.
It's
like,
bold though.
Yeah, and like
I think you're just so bold.
I
the fact that you are like, hey, join my text line and text me to your fans. Like, to me, I was like, how bold.
My text line
Like,
is my
the audacity
like,
to just put yourself out there like that.
And that's like legitimately why this interview is happening right now, because I have like my OG homies on the text list. Like, I have, oh my gosh, my girl Lene from Pennsylvania. She has my whole entire heart. Like, and like there's so many other people, but I just like you and her come to mind because y'all were some of the earliest people that joined. I love having that, and it's just another iteration of like wanting to have that connection and wanting to put vulnerable parts of my life out that could be perceived as like embarrassing things to talk about, but it's because I want that connection, and I did want to have a direct line to people that want it to me, and I don't have that many people on my text line right now. I think I have like 100, which, I mean, that's a lot to me, but
sounds like a lot to me.
I mean, I'm sure Jake Paul has like, you know, I don't know, millions, whatever. It's a lot to me, and it means a lot to me that like 100 people want to, and I don't text with all of them, like maybe out of those 100 that have like 20 people that I like somewhat like
that actually
regularly
like respond rather than just getting the notifications.
Right, a lot of them are just like, I just want to know about shows and merch. I'm like, cool, sick, don't worry about it. But like, I have some people that I regularly text with, and that form of communication is so important to me because I also feel like I have a responsibility because as an artist, I've put it out there before that, and this is actually something I'm trying to move a little bit away from because I don't want it to take an unhealthy turn. Not completely away, but I have put it out there before that, like, hey, I'm someone you can talk to. Now, the reason I want to move away from it a little bit is because I did have an instance where somebody was texting me in a crisis, and I actually completely missed it and did not see it until like 3 days later. And I don't want to be that for people because I'm not available enough that I can be that person for you in a crisis. Like you need to have somebody else for that. Like I'm happy to share my experiences with you and give you resources, which is why I like having that direct line of communication because I have Google Drive folders of resources for all sorts of things that I send people. Like the most frequent thing people text me about or DM me about is that like they're interested in getting into therapy, but they don't know where to start, they can't afford it, they're nervous, and I have answers for all of that. Here is a folder of like affordable resources. They will match like what you can pay with your income, and you can also do video chats with them so that it doesn't feel so vulnerable, like you're actually having to sit in front of this person. Like that helped me get back into therapy, not having to like physically sit in front of a person. And I like being able to do that, and so I do try to open up as many lines of communication as I can, but it does create that problem of like I have hundreds of people at any given time that like I need to get back to, and so I can't be somebody's person in a state of crisis, and I don't want to be either because that's not healthy for me. But it is. I have reached a point in my life where I do feel okay and I do feel healthy being someone that people can like sometimes lean on and go to for resources or just general advice because I do feel like I've been through a lot in my life, and sometimes the scariest part is just the unknown. And so if I can share some experience that, at least my experiences, which of course yours are probably different, it might just make it a little less scary or make it feel less terrible right now or
less alone.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, man, sometimes when you're in it, when you're really in it, dude, it's impossible to see a reality where you're out of it. So
I might just have to hit you up for the therapy resources because my therapist just moved offices and doubled his rates and cut his hours in half so he could stay home with his kids more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great
for
you.
Him, yeah.
Exactly.
That's
but
amazing, yeah.
now I need to find a new therapist. So.
Right. Yeah, I can send you some stuff. The one off the top of my head is Shield Bearer. They're here in Houston. You can do in-person sessions, or you can do. I did virtual with them, and they have like many different levels. The most affordable option is you can work with their student therapists, which of course you got to gauge the kind of stuff you want to work on. If you're working on like some deep trauma, I maybe wouldn't go with the student therapist, not because they're not qualified, they are, but because they change every 4 months. So you can't keep the same therapist. It's kind of hard to work through the deep trauma without having the same therapist. But like that worked really well for me for general like week-to-week support, and building like emotional maturity tools for a long time. And when I was at a certain spot in my life, they got my sessions down to $5 a session. Yeah.
What?
It is so much more achievable than people think it is. Jeez. Fuck BetterHelp. I'm just kidding.
Dang, calling them out.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure BetterHelp is great. They never worked for me.
This was gonna be sponsored, but that's out the window.
Sponsored by Shield Bear. No, no, I highly recommend them. And then there's like a couple other things I can definitely send you that stuff if you text me later. And then I know somewhere I have a folder of resources for people struggling with addiction. I definitely have stuff for people struggling with self-harm, just all sorts of things, because also I don't know if you remember at the start of my career, all of my stream royalty revenue was donated, and
I completely forgot about that.
And my audience used to vote on who we were going to donate it to. Now, it wasn't all that much money because I wasn't making that much off of stream royalties, and I'm still not. It is something I want to get back to. The only reason I've stopped is because it took up so much of my time that I was like not being fair to my audience by taking up my time doing all this accounting for that and all of the like royalty accounting. So I want to figure
And you're
out.
like, yeah, the amount doesn't justify the work put in.
Right, it would end up being like $20, $30, and I oftentimes would just end up like using my own money to match that, and then I'm like, Rachel, you can't be spending money. But
Yeah.
I want to figure out like a more quick way to do that accounting, so that I can implement that again, because I want to say, I think I did it for like everything except for like the EP release. But when we would vote on those things, and I'm glad I did it, because like it just created so much conversation around different topics and different issues and all sorts of stuff. I learned a lot about just various different organizations and the resources they have, and I just kind of gathered those, and I even have like I have like actual resources, and then I have, for some of them, not all of them, I have just like a document of like just sentences that, like, for me brought me a lot of peace. Like, one that comes to mind is I definitely have a document somewhere that says it's okay to not be okay, or you have
Like
every
your
right
Easter
to lose your mind.
eggs.
My favorite one was, you have every right to lose your mind, but come back. Yeah. And yeah, the Easter eggs, they didn't really
You put your little messages in there.
Oh yeah, the affirmations, I forgot about that for a minute. Yeah, some of them are like coupons for the merch table, or like free like earrings from the merch table, or a coupon for a free something or another.
But I remember the Warehouse Live show, you like asked people for affirmations, yeah.
Like, I think I said, like, what is the most meaningful affirmation that's ever been said to you? And over half of those Easter eggs had just affirmations. That was actually the original intention, was just affirmations. But then, of course, my team that's like incredibly smart was like, why don't you put coupons for free merch? And I was like, that's fucking sick. Like, I'm sure if somebody's a fan of my music, they would love that. If they're here for an opener, they're probably like, what is this bullshit? But
there's an Easter egg within the Easter egg.
Yeah, dude. And then they're like, and then it brings them to the merch table, and they might buy something. And I'm like, I love that you guys are thinking about profit, because I sure am not. Like, I literally would spend every last penny of mine on like creating. This is why I'm so thankful I have Hannah and John Edward to like keep me in check, because I really do just be like spending money on like creating an experience for my audience, and I like don't profit most of the time. Like, I honestly don't think, I think I've only ever profited off of like 1 or 2 shows that I've put on. The rest of them I went in the hole to pay my band, to pay the venue, like if I had to pay the venue, or what, just all the stuff that goes into it,
Music is an expensive habit.
It really is, which is why I understand why a lot of artists don't start gigging right away, because that's one of the most expensive sides of it. Like, I mean, the production for sure, but a lot of people have gotten themselves to a point where they can produce a decent amount to at least get a demo, and that will cut down on the cost of like hiring, I guess, a more top tier producer. Not that you're not one, but if you're hiring another producer, I'm assuming you at least believe they're more top tier than you. So, really, like, gigging is an expensive part of it, but yeah, the Easter eggs, it means a lot to me, like, looking back on the pictures that were taken at White Oak of people, like, oh, I could cry thinking about it, holding up their affirmations from their Easter eggs, or people, like, posting it on their story. Someone told me after the Warehouse show, it was like a couple days later, her and her husband attended that show together, and both of them have been through like some very traumatic events in their life, and they both at separate times found an Easter egg, opened it, and it happened to have the same exact affirmation for both of them, and it said, your past has no control over you anymore. And she said that they both like just lost their shit, because that is like, she said it was a very, very similar to a sentence they tell them each other a lot. And all of it just felt so serendipitous. Like, I was like, I'm never gonna not do this again. I'm never not having Easter eggs at a show again. Like, I never could have imagined what it would mean to people. To me, it was just like this fun thing, and I'm like the self-love, like, annoying friend, I'm like showering my friends in like, you deserve this, and like, you, like, I hope you love yourself because you're so worthy of that. Like, I do it to a point that's like, annoying, so I thought it would be more of that thing, like, oh, Rachel's on her bullshit
There
again,
she
but like,
goes again.
thanks, we appreciate it, but like, you know, no thanks. But it was so well received that I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm never not doing this again. It just meant the world to me, and I have those pictures in like a very special place on my Google Drive.
Oh.
Yeah. Damn, I am a rambly ass bitch.
Hey, it makes my job easy.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Just sit here, look pretty.
Exactly. You're doing a wonderful job.
You're gonna fill up all the time.
Dude, because I love this shit. I could talk about it all day. My career, my music, the community I've found in my music. Okay, I just want to preface this by saying, I have my OG friends that are like my ride or dies, but like outside that we've been friends since like 6th grade. Outside of that, like I don't really make new friends ever. And for the first time in a long time, I have like friends in our community. I'm like hanging out with friends. Like I'm hanging out with you. We're doing an interview. I am hanging out with, you know, Whitney Ward from Whitson. I'm hanging out with Juan Siu. I'm hanging out with like just these incredible people, and like I'm like, oh, people actually do want to be my friend. Like that you know feels good, and I've like built these connections with people that are, I don't know, so quickly, at least in my mind, it went from like, oh, I've met this person and they're cool and I like them, to like, oh my gosh, I've like known this person for quite some time now, and they're so dear to me, and I actually like, I never thought I would have that. I get to have that. That's so special, you know? So like that, like there's so much to it that I feel so lucky every day, which is why I say things like, I don't need to be Lady Gaga, dude. I just need more of what I have right now. That's what I want, you know?
I love the gratefulness.
Oh, dude. If you would have told 16-year-old Raycheal, and like I know that my career isn't that impressive to most people, but like if you would have told 16-year-old Raycheal that this is where she was gonna be, she would not have believed you at all.
Wow.
Like, I'm very happy.
That's awesome. Gratefulness is a powerful thing. It's a powerful force.
I agree.
Because, I don't know, I feel like you can't be stuck in fear if you're grateful. It's kind of hard.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I'm a pretty fearful person. But, you know, it's funny you say that, because I was actually thinking about the concept of fear the other day. And I feel like I have had a decent amount of people in my life call me fearless. But that's not true. I have a lot of fear. I'm afraid of a lot of things, a lot of people, I'm afraid of most things and most people. But I'm not going to let it control my life. So personally, I think that I'm courageous. Like, I think that seeing that fear, recognizing it, and saying, fuck you, dog.
Sounds like you've really stepped into your confidence.
Dude,
like, yeah.
I try. You know, just honestly, it helps to be shameless. I'm just kidding.
I'm kind of the same way. I definitely do have shame. I won't say I don't, but
it's like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like,
yeah, I remember my grandparents used to say, that boy has no shame.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Like persistence, shamelessness, that'll get you far.
Not knowing when to give up. Yeah. I have, yeah. That's a trait I've had to learn.
That's you'll run yourself into the ground not knowing when to give up.
Fuck yeah. It's a blessing and a curse though, because, I mean, it's part of the reason that I haven't given up on music when it's gotten really tough. Like ramen every night of the week tough, you know? Which I'm like, that's not even that bad to me, because I love ramen.
Ramen is good, bro.
Ramen's
like
food.
why is chicken? That the go-to, like, you know, oh, you got it bad?
I know. I honestly, like, could eat ramen every night, but when I had to eat it every night, it's not what I wanted, you know? Because I'm like, I don't have another option. Yeah.
But then, you start getting that glow up, Start putting that good chicken in the ramen, some ground beef, whatever. Start adding some stuff.
Yeah, or like, what do they call it? Spread, some mayo, some mustard, some butter.
I'm gonna have to do that. I'm getting hungry.
Me too. We're talking about ramen over here. I love it.
Making me hungry. What else did I want to talk about with you? I feel so at peace right now. I feel like we just had a whole like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I gush about my band for a minute?
Gush about your band. Gush away.
Oh my god. That's like. Okay. Imposter syndrome. Let's just talk about that. My band is like the #1 thing in my life that makes me feel imposter syndrome. Not in like a bad way, because I'm so incredibly lucky to have them, but in like most other things in my career, I can look at and I'm like, yeah, I work my ass off towards that, I work my ass off towards that, I put in hundreds of hours towards that, I still sometimes struggle to feel like I deserve it, but it kind of makes sense. My band, on the other hand, I'm like, are you guys sure you want to play with me? Like, moi? They are so. I'm reluctant to use the word talented because it is talent, but it's hard work. It's not as much talent. Like, and that may sound bad, but I don't mean it in a bad way. They're very talented people, but I feel like when you just say like, oh, they're so talented, you're almost disguising or looking past how much hard work they've put into their craft, and that's what impresses me so much about them.
The difference between talent and skill is what you're talking about.
Exactly. They're experienced, they're educated, they are well versed, they busted their ass at their craft. Our drummer Billy I feel so lucky to have him, not only as a musician, but like just such an incredible person. Somebody described him at the Big Top show. My friend Alicia came up to me and said, your drummer is the only drummer that has ever made me consider cheating on my drummer. And I was like, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Because Billy is out of this world. I mean, like, there is nothing I have sent him that he's like, no, it's not doable. He's over here like, I'm like sending him all this crazy hiatus coyote shit, and I'm like, can we please do this live one day? And he's like, I'm slowing it down to figure it out as we speak, or not figure it out, to like, what is it? Transcribe it.
So slow down the tempo, get the muscle memory going, and then build it up.
Yeah,
that's how I was taught how to play drums.
We call him octopus arms. Like legit, he is octopus arms. And then, so Reef is usually who plays with us on bass. Another incredible human, so gifted at his craft and has really put in so much work with not only playing his instrument, but I can tell so much work with his ear too. He does like this face where you can tell he's not as much using like his muscle memory and his like craft of a bassist as he is like, he like almost like tilts his head. He's like listening for it. And I'm like, I can tell that you've spent a lot of time developing your ear. And even just like this different styles he can play in, it's really easy to communicate with him about what kind of vibe I'm looking for, which is hard when you're a non-sophisticated musician like me that doesn't speak music theory language, that doesn't speak rhythm language and all of these things, and doesn't know about the history of like where everything came from. But he needs minimal information, and he's like, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm like, okay, all right, I guess let's move on with practice, thanks. And also such an incredible human being. He's gone for 2 months right now, playing on a cruise, and yeah, I know, so exciting. And John Edward and I were just gushing about him the other day, like how excited about this opportunity we are for him, because he is such an extrovert and such a like bright, shining soul that I'm like, I know you're gonna make damn sure you meet some cool ass people on that cruise. Like, Reef could get along with anyone. Everyone in my band can, and like, it's just so funny playing with them. Like, the humor and the morale, dude, Billy is so funny. Like, me and Billy just stay cracking jokes during practice. Like, sometimes Jonathan has to like rein us in, and I'm like, thank you for being the responsible one. And then
he's like the dad.
Yeah, but it's really like me and him are mom and dad, but like unfortunately he married like a 12-year-old. Oh, that's not. Not like that. He married someone very immature in the musical sense of married someone. So, I can't believe I just said
She's
that.
a grown woman. I met her at the show.
I am not 12. No, but like, unfortunately, in his musical marriage, he married someone that is like extremely.
Oh, I thought you were
mature.
talking about his actual wife.
No. Like, we're like, me and him are mom and dad in the practice,
okay.
but I'm just like hella immature,
Okay.
and so sometimes he does have to like rein me in. But he's just incredible too. Like, it's so funny. After all these years of working with him, you would think I would kind of become like numb to what an incredible musician he is. No, I haven't, and I don't think that will ever happen. And then also, because John Edward's the one in the band that I work the most close knit with all the time, because he's also the producer of our music. And so we co-write and co-produce basically everything. There's a few things here and there that like, I've done more of the songwriting on, or he's done more of the production on, but it's pretty much an equal partnership. And seeing how much this man puts into not only his craft of production, but his craft of guitar playing, I have never met someone that is so genuinely interested in the education of things. And it's such a nice environment to be in, because I come from an environment where it's like, let's get it done as quickly as possible. John Edward's not like that. And it was something I had to learn to like really slow down on, to learn how to do things correctly, and to learn my craft and respect it, work on it, work towards it, have actual like goals. And all of that comes from, like, John Edward isn't like my teacher or anything, but it comes from just being in that environment, watching musicians I respect do their thing, and I just feel so lucky every time I get to have practice with them or have a show with them. Like, the fact that they're down, like, they could be playing other gigs and making much more money, and like, I always make sure my people are paid, but they could definitely make more elsewhere, and the fact that they reserve dates for me because like, we have practice and we have a show. I'm like, how did I get so lucky to have a bunch that is so dedicated and so talented and so hardworking and so like educated, It's just really cool. And then we've been playing with Arthur Atkins recently, while Reef is out of town on that cruise, and that's been an incredible opportunity as well. I had always wanted an opportunity to play with him, but then when Reef got integrated into the band, I was like, well, Reef's never going anywhere. We love him. He's our family, and so, and of course I want to give that space to Reef whenever he wants it. But it was just this perfect thing that worked out where I was like, okay, cool, we get to like play with Arthur Atkins for this 2 months, which is going to be 2 shows. It was the Big Top show, and we're playing with him at White Oak April 25th, opening for Cops. And he, like, I feel like I've a broken record because I say it about all of them, but it's true. He's such a special person too. And I got to meet his wife for the first time at Big Top. She is like such a bright soul. Like, you can just see it radiating off of her and them both, like, as a couple. It's just, I'm like, I get it, you guys are meant to be together. And such a talented artist as well, because Arthur, and I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't have like the jazz background like Reef and Billy and John Edward do, but like, that motherfucker can hang, dude. Like, when I tell you he learns quick, like, for someone that doesn't, and maybe I'm wrong, but for someone that I'm pretty sure doesn't have like that all years of like being a gigging jazz musician, I'm like, damn, dude, okay, all right, I see you. Like, it's really impressive, and how versatile he is, because I think his I don't want to make assumptions on what his usual genre is, but I'm pretty sure it's not the kind of stuff I'm doing. So, but he was just like down to clown with the project. He really liked the music, and that's kind of how all of us got into this band. Like, Reef and Arthur reached out to me. Billy knew John Edward, and so reached out to him, and just the fact that everyone that I play with I don't feel like I had to beg anyone to play with me. I don't feel like I had to scout anyone. It was people that were genuinely interested in the project, genuinely loved the music, loved the sound, and they were like, I want to get in on that. Like, that means a lot to me and is so flattering to me coming from this caliber of musicians, you know? I'm like, wow, dude, like, that, when I got my band, I was like, now I feel like I've peaked. So, yeah. Thank you for letting me gush about them for a minute.
For sure, yeah.
They are the best.
That's great. Man, I could just listen to you go on just as long as you can go on. Like, I'm like, I don't even need to ask questions at this point.
But is there anything you want to know about, like, the music, the process, anything I like do as an artist, even the administrative side of it, the creative side of it? Is there anything you want to know?
I mean, I would like to know more about, like, kind of what goes into you writing your songs and, like, where you're pulling that from, like, from your experiences and stuff. But I also am reluctant to give away, or to have you give away what's already on your, the things that you talk about in your audio thing.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even really remember what's on the audio commentary. I'm sure it's accurate, but no, I could totally dive into that. So, like, as far as the song creation process, it usually stems from a lyric or a phrase, like something will really just stick with me. For Lethal Dose, it was the phrase, I'll have forgotten what I've been through when I run out of you. Because that's what I felt like in the moment. I was like, wow, everything else I've been through up to this point cannot compare to, like, what I feel right now. I can't even, and I'm talking, dude, I went through, like, some pretty heinous shit in my childhood. And the fact that, like, the way this person made me feel made me, like, that in that moment trumped the pain of that. I was like, ouch, you know? So that was for Lethal Dose. And so for some of them, like Starlight and Lethal Dose and Breathing Underwater and I Don't Mind were, like, already written as different versions of the song. They sounded very different than they do now. And then I reimagined them with John Edward. We wrote more interesting melodies. While I'm Alive was the first song we actually, like, completely co-wrote together from the seed of an idea, which I do still consider the other songs co-writing because there's so much that we changed about it. Like, I kind of came up with the foundation of it, and then, like, the songs absolutely would not be what they are today without his contributions. But, like, While I'm Alive stemmed from, man, I was listening to a lot of Erykah Badu at that time.
Okay.
And she had, there are lots of her songs that have this very, like, bouncy, like, upbeat, like Apple is one, and we do that live. If you don't wanna get down with me. Like, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that was an influence for While I'm Alive. Can't believe I'm alive if you don't wanna get down with me. Like, you know?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and so it stemmed from, like, I had been listening to Erykah Badu nonstop for weeks, and that was right around the time I discovered that she used to play with the Roots, and I was like, oh, you mean more Erykah Badu content? I thought I had listened to it all. And I just kind of, you know, we had gone through writing the rest of the songs on the EP. They weren't, I Don't Mind and Breathing Underwater weren't released yet, but I knew they were going to be released with the EP, and I wanted to finish the EP. Like, everything else was so sad. I was like, I want to finish with something that is sad, and it's honest, but that's hopeful. And so I basically was, like, literally sitting in the bathroom at Sassafras, like, just standing in there. I think I just didn't want to, like...
Sassafras is the name of the studio?
The studio, yeah. I was just, like, chilling in the bathroom, chilling here in Cedar Rapids. No, I'm just kidding. I was just, like, hanging out in the bathroom. I think I had just done, like, one of my mirror dance things, and I was pondering a lot about, like, the concept of you don't have to like yourself in order to love yourself. I don't remember where that came from. I know it stemmed from something that my therapist said to me in therapy. She didn't say that exact phrase, but it was finally this thing I started considering because I had, up to that point, I had never liked myself. Like myself? No. But I was like, I'm not going to be able to get to a point of healing that I want to get to feeling this way. And so let me just like call out all the shit I don't like about myself. And so I did, and I wrapped it basically into a voice memo. That's why the song starts with, even though you break down on the couch, thrash out, disappear, and then come back around. That was something that I used to do a lot, that I still sometimes do today. When I get in like a very dark spot, I will drop off the face of the earth for like 3 days, and then I'll come back up and I'm like, hey guys, no, it's fine, I'm good. So it started as like let me just kind of like get it out of my system, these things that I don't like about myself. And I even say in the pre-chorus, I never thought I would like you, but I wanted it to be from the perspective of, when you're listening to the song, I wanted people to think I was talking shit about an ex. And I didn't want them to be aware and know that I was talking about myself until the chorus. It worked. It worked. I have gotten so many hate comments of like, what a bitch you are. Like, how could you write this about someone? And I'm like, yeah, I know it is mean, but it's about myself. And immediately people are like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, no, you don't need to be sorry, and you're right. It is mean.
I'm mad.
Yeah, but
I'm mad that you said that about yourself.
And you should
Don't
be.
Talk about my friend like that.
Exactly, and you should be.
What the hell?
And that's why I wanted to get out in that song, and I was hoping it would evoke those feelings, because I knew that if people knew right away I was talking about myself, I get viewed as like annoying and dramatic a lot, so I knew they wouldn't get the message. But I was like, if I can have them view it as me talking about somebody else, they'll see just how mean it is. And hopefully they can relate to it and how they talk to themselves, and maybe be able to see how like mean and damaging it is, and maybe like cut that shit out a little bit. And then, we'll move into the chorus where I like talk about the hopeful side of things, like I'm accepting that I'll be you until I die, and so I'm gonna love you while I'm alive. But with that happy, upbeat energy to bring in just another element of hopefulness. And so that one definitely started out as me rapping into a voice memo about everything I hate about myself. A lot got cut. Like, there were so many things that were like, when we started actually putting it into the song, I was like, I actually don't think I feel comfortable being this vulnerable. Like, there were some things in there that I was like, not yet. Like, I don't think I can put that out there yet and feel good about it. And then, like, what's another one? So, like, Starlight had already previously been written. Starlight went through a couple of different, no, that was Lethal Dose. Starlight was a piano ballad when I first wrote it. So I used to be self-produced. I'm not a good producer, which is why I don't produce on my own anymore. But it was a piano ballad, and it wasn't, no, that was Lethal Dose.
So do you play piano?
I do a little bit. See, I'm like mixing up my shit now. Lethal Dose was originally a piano ballad. Then I worked with the producer that made it into an EDM song, and then it became what it is today. Starlight was actually synth poppy, but it was more like, think like Sky Ferreira level of like saturated in reverb. And then it turned into what it is now. We rewrote some of the melodies, but most of the time, like when I'm writing a new song, it'll be a phrase or something that I kind of cling on to, and then I'll start writing it to a melody. But I don't tend to write very interesting melodies. That's something I lean a lot more on John Edward for, because he has that language. He is so well versed in what he does, like, and it's something I'm trying to work on. I want to build those tools. But as of back then, and as of some current stuff I've written, which I'm a little better at it now, I just don't write melodies that are that interesting. So I usually will write the foundation of like a part of it. It's usually not the whole song all the way through, outside of the stuff that's on the EP that had already previously been written that I needed to get out of my system.
I will be honest, when I first heard I Don't Mind, I didn't like it because of how repetitive it was. But then I listened to it a few more times and I realized, wait a minute. These vocals, like, she's flexing right now, like, she is going at it, like.
So I'm not surprised.
So then I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like, and then it really grew on me, and I'm like, started singing along to it
Yeah.
in my car with the CD. I'm like,
Yep, it's definitely a song that has to grow on you, and I'm not. You're not the only one that has had that reaction. It was the one song that I refused to change things on. We didn't change very much about that song at all. Like most of what you hear is what was originally written, and that song was written in 15 minutes. The whole fucking thing. I even wrote the, well, not. I wrote the original chord progression. I'm fairly certain it has like changed a lot now. But the vocal stuff, the only thing that I was like, okay, I'd be down to change is some of the phrasing of the words. Like the my favorite change that we made being the I look at this empty couch and think about when you were smoking your last cigarette. That used to be saying like it was the same melody, but it was the spacing and the rhythm wasn't as intentional. But that song was always meant to just be like my primal scream, just me like wailing because that's how I felt in that moment. Like that's how it feels when you fall in love with somebody that you knew from the get go was gonna break your heart. You're like, I did this to myself again, dude.
I also think a big turning point on my appreciation of that song was getting to hear the audio commentary.
Yeah.
Like when I got that package and like sat there, listened through it, listened to your explanations of like where that came from and what the actual context of it was, I was like, oh, there's actually like something beyond, like behind this song, and it's not just like wailing and repeating yourself and you just belting for the sake of belting.
Yeah.
Like there's actually a message behind it, and
Yeah.
it came from a real experience, and the belting is like reflective of the feelings that was behind it. I just wasn't getting it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a little bit of flexing nuts. Like I went to, I have a wider range now that I can sing in, but at the time that belting in the bridge that's like the highest, no, I don't mind, that's like the top of my belting range. And then at the very end of the song, no, I don't mind. See, I can't even hit it right now because I'm not warmed up. Is like the lowest part, or is still the lowest part of my range. The high, what was previously the highest part of like my belting range. And I wanted that to be in the song. Like I wanted the lower part of it to be like a little surprise at the end, because I don't really get that low in that song until that point. So it definitely was a little bit of me flexing.
I don't think
nuts.
you get that low on the EP at all, besides that one spot.
Exactly, and it's something I actually want to work in a little bit more, and I don't know if that'll happen on this next EP because we have 4 of the songs already written. They're just, one of them I'm actually working on with well, 2 of them I'm working on with different producers. I'm working with a producer in New York, and then I'm working with another producer here in town. The other 2 I'm working on with John Edward, and those 2 are completely co-written with John Edward and I. Like they were not original concepts before, but the one I'm working on with the other producer in Houston and the producer in New York, those were original concepts before, and those don't really have like super low notes in them, but it is something I want to work in. And I mean, we still gotta get a 5th song going. I would love to have like a Hiatus Coyote Red Room moment where, like, I don't know how familiar you are with those vocals, but
I haven't listened to them as much as I wish I could have, because like I've met a lot of people who really like them, and I've only passively listened.
Yeah, that was kind of like my introduction to them too. I would just like a song here from this album, maybe one song from this album. I still, their first album I still have not consumed as an album. I've heard every song on it, but I haven't like listened to it as an album. But Red Room definitely has, it's a little more slow paced, but it was one of their singles from the album. That she's got the, but here. She goes all the way down there, but then she also has, oh my god, I don't even know if I can hit it. Feels like a, yeah. Feels like a flower. all, like, that's a massive range, dude. And she does it in such a way that you don't feel like she's flexing nuts. She absolutely is, but she's so artistic about it, which
she's like soft and breathy without being too breathy.
Right.
You know, like,
and there's intention.
yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna pretend like there was like a lot of intention behind I Don't Mind. That was a pure, just like, I need to get this out of my body and out of my soul. That's why it was written in 15 minutes. But I'd love to have like an intentional jazz hiatus coyote napalm red room moment. Maybe that'll be the 5th song on the EP. Because I do feel like see, as much as I have a hard time taking compliments, I also have a hard time objectively complimenting myself. But I have been told by other people that I do have an impressive lower range. And so I'm like, well then, let's show it off. Plus, I like the idea of like, I'm saying in my lower register a lot live. It doesn't always show up on my master recordings, but I can't tell you how many men I've had come up to me and be like, that's an unattractive range for you. I don't understand why you would even want to sing that low. And that makes me want to do it more. I'm like, good. Like, if that's not working for me, I'm like, good.
What?
Yeah. A woman singing really low, or singing, because there are some of those notes that I can sing that, like, I guess traditionally would, I don't know, like, I don't actually think it's that wide of a range, but I've been told by, like, you know, vocal people and vocal coaches that, like, traditionally that's mostly hit by men. Like, not a ton of women can, you know, go that low in their octave. I'm like, it's probably
But
like
that
damage
makes it
I've
cool.
done.
Like,
Well, and so it's like a lot of men find it unattractive. They find it masculine, and I'm like, good, get out of my face. I'm gonna do it more now. Thank you for the fuel.
yeah.
So I love the idea.
That makes me think of what's that song? The one that's like what is it? It's I'll think of it later. I'm brain dead. I'm literally brain dead.
I know. How are your allergies feeling? Are you still feeling like stuffed up?
No, I'm breathing better, but
it does make everything kind of cloudy.
It's been a long week.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you're tired.
I'm so sorry.
No, like,
hold on.
not
I'll remember it if I play it. You're not.
It doesn't bother me that you're tired, by the way.
You're not playing a song, so somebody gotta play a song. Dang. What is it?
Oh, that sounds so familiar. Sorry. Do you remember the lyrics?
This is not tuned. I know the lyrics if I play it. That's why I had to play it. Because it's like literally a blank.
You play on bass?
Maybe. This part's probably gonna just get cut out. It's gonna be one of those parts.
You should leave it in, but speed it up and put a voiceover.
What the hell? Why that thing have to be out of tune? Give me one reason.
Oh, Tracy Chapman.
Tracy Chapman.
Give me one more reason.
I have it on my little
oh my gosh.
sheet.
I actually forgot how much I love her.
Yes, she's great.
You know, when I was
she got like a real deep voice.
When I was a young child, I have a distinct memory of being in a Great Clips and hearing that song. And I thought Tracy Chapman was a man for like the first few years of my life. And I loved that. I loved that her register was so low and so like buttery, and I feel like you don't even hear a ton of vocal fry in her voice. It really is like a smooth lower range.
Very clean.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I think I also thought
that
song was
confused
like
me.
a man.
Yeah.
And then I found out later that that's a female, and I was like, holy shit! Like, that's even hard for me to go that low.
It's impressive. It's very impressive. You know what? I want to have a Tracy Chapman moment.
Do it.
Like, you have no idea what you just did. I'm literally only gonna listen to Tracy Chapman on the way home. I kind of forgot about her for a minute. Like, it's the ADHD, dude. Like, out of sight, out of mind. It's real.
That's why I had to get my Excel sheet to remember even the name of the song.
I feel you, dude. I feel you.
Literally have an Excel sheet taped to my guitar case that I bring upstage with me, so I can be like, "What song am I playing?" Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't think any of us could operate at a set list. Like, we gotta have that. The ADHD is real. Maybe that's why we're all musicians, dude. There's so much going on up here that we're like, we need other things to focus on.
I've been in so much denial about. I'm like, I don't have ADHD. No. And then the other day I was at work, and my coworker who has ADHD and is medicated for it was like kept circling what he was talking about with his cursor.
Oh my
and he's
God.
like, so you see where I'm talking about right there, and my eyes are just like cursor,
On the
but I
cursor?
can't read. I literally can't read the sentence that
That's
he's
so
talking
funny,
about
dude.
because he's
Yeah.
circling it with his cursor, and I'm just like, bruh, maybe I do have ADHD.
Yeah. Do you ever like walk into a room and you're looking for something and it's like literally right in front of you, but you're just scanning and you don't see it, and then somebody else walks in and they're like, dude, it's right there.
That's what moms are for.
Yeah, that happens to me like a lot. Like, I will walk into a room like looking for that guitar. I'd be like, well, maybe not something that big, but yeah.
No, I feel that. Like when you lose your keys or something like that.
I'll walk right past him.
Mm-hmm.
This is why my systems mean everything to me.
Systems are so important.
My life falls apart if I don't. I have to have organization systems.
Mm-hmm.
Or I will lose my
Habits
shit.
and systems, yeah.
Yeah, it's crucial. Like, my keys have to go in the same spot
Mm-hmm.
every day. I searched for them for 20 minutes the other day because I had come home. I was very tired. I just like set them. We have like, when you walk in, there's like our couch and there's like a little like table next to the couch. I had just set them on there, like a very obvious place. Number one, to look, and that like when you're scanning.
But because that's not where you usually put them, they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They're gone. You're like, your mind is like, they're in the gutter. Like, I dropped them in the parking lot.
They're probably gone forever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's called catastrophizing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a bad habit of that. I'm sure. Do you as well?
I did that the other day because my check engine light came on, and I like pulled over, and I was just like, I can't drive my car. It's gonna break.
It's gonna blow up.
It's gonna explode.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly the only logical place for your brain to go.
Like,
It needs
literally,
to
my
explode.
entire
I'm
engine
sorry,
is just gonna fail, and
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be able to drive my car.
Oh.
And I'm like looking it up. I'm like, AutoZone is 8 minutes away. Can I make it? Can I make it to
AutoZone?
And I started going. I got halfway there, pulled over again. I was like, oh shit.
I'm scared.
Only 4 minutes to go. I don't
Bunch
know
of
if I'm gonna
brains.
be able to do it.
I'm screaming.
And I called a friend of mine who's like on vacation in Dallas and just stayed on the phone with me talking to
For,
me
like, moral
about all
support.
their car knowledge and moral support until I get to AutoZone.
That's hilarious.
Meanwhile, the signal was horrible and it kept cutting out.
But like, that moral support though.
Craziest thing happened though. A friend of mine who I didn't realize lived around the corner randomly showed up to get bushings for his truck. Just completely independent of my situation. Didn't know I was there. Didn't know I wasn't needed anybody's help.
At the AutoZone?
I'm looking under my hood, staring at it, going, like, I had already figured out what part I needed, hadn't bought it yet, but was just staring at it being like, man, what's the right thing to do right now? He shows up with a 3-legged dog in his hand and just goes, hey, that's the part you're looking for right there, and just messing with me. And I was just like, sir, you are a godsend.
Yeah. Please help me.
Yeah.
I'm doing this on my own.
Like, I'm just like, I don't know what to do right now. And he's just like, just buy the part, dude. You got the money? Do it. Bring it over to my house. We'll fix you up. He fixed it in 5 to 10 minutes, I swear.
What a sweetheart.
So fast. And I was just like, dude, come over anytime. Let me cook you dinner. Like, anything.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It was crazy. I did not expect it. Yeah, wild.
We gotta look out for each other like that. We do. It's like, the human experience is hard, man. Especially like, no one prepares you for being an adult all on your own, dealing with adult issues, and it sucks. I'm glad you had that friend.
It was literally like 2 days ago.
Oh my
that
gosh.
happened. Yeah.
How are you? Are you okay?
No, I'm great. Like I was so happy and so
Yeah,
grateful.
to hear you.
I was just like, oh my gosh, like that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, do we feel like that's a wrap?
If you want it to be.
I
How
do
you
have to
feel
head out
about
soon.
Ario Speedwagon?
Say goodnight. Good night. That wasn't planned.
Good night.